Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. This is a special one for me. This is my 1999 Saab 9.3 convertible. This is a video I've wanted to do for a really long time. So to start off, again, a lot of the review videos I do, the vehicles aren't mine, so I just kind of talk about the vehicle, but this one kind of has some personal stories and advice and comments and things with it. So depending on how that goes, I may kind of split this up into two videos, but we'll see. It'll become clear in the end. But at any rate, 1999 9.3 convertible. These also came as a 3- and 5-door hatchback. These ran from 1999. Actually, they were sold in 1998 as a 99 model, right up until 2003, and then the convertibles were replaced with the NG or New Generation 9.3, which ran from that point to the end. And then, of course, these are very similar to the NG or New Generation 900, which came out in 1994 until 1998. So a little bit similar there, but Saab said they made 1,100 changes between the NG 900 and the OG 9.3. So anyway, so let's take a look. So starting down the side here, and again, this car's gotten a lot of use, so it's not going to be perfect, which we'll kind of get into. Everything's in decent shape. I like the body molding. I like all the plastic trim. I like the blackened out header on the windshield. When the top is up, everything above the belt line of the car is black, which looks kind of neat. I like the black door handles. I think that looks kind of cool. I like this little protector piece here around the wheel well and all the plastic cladding underneath. I like the mud flaps. They've done a really good job protecting the paint and the underside of the car. I like the black mirrors in this case. Usually I like those painted, but I think it looks cool. It goes with a blackout kind of, thing that they're going for here. I like the amber turn signals on this. This is actually the base, and then there was an SE above that in the US, so this is kind of the base trim. Some of these features would be a little different. The side markers would have been clear. You would have had painted mirrors and a painted header on, and some of this trim would have been painted as well on the SE. 15-inch 3-spoke Delta alloy wheels, which are very cool. They're a little bit curbed up, but not bad. I like that they have nice thick rubber on them. It gives for a decent ride. Coming to the front here, you have again a nice big thick plastic molding. And by the way, these ones on the door panels have really done a good job, it seems, protecting the car over the years. You also have this little flap here, or lip here below. The corner lamps, you have your turn signal, and you also have your front reverse light, which kind of puts some light down to the side of the vehicle when you're backing up. Nice glass lenses up front here with very nice bright lights. It's very bright, very impressive. And then you also have glass lensed fog lamps with a cornering lamp down below, and nice grille inserts here. I like that this car has a nice small grille. I think that looks correct. I'm not so much a fan of the newer cars that have huge, massive grilles. Also, you have the wipers here for the headlamps. Now, these don't come on when the wipers come on. They come on when you press the jet to wash the windshield. These would come on not so much to clear rain or anything, but to clear dirt, debris, mainly snow and slush off the headlamp lenses, which is really cool. And then, of course, this gave way to like a jet, but these do a really nice job, actually. I like that it says Saab here on the grill, and this is kind of like a wing of a plane. These badges are aftermarket. They don't really make the new ones anymore. That one has been on about 2 years, and it's already starting to come apart. But that's okay. I have a couple spares. That's what you do when you have one of these. Again, everything's pretty decent down this side as well. I like the back end of these vehicles. I like how it has a lot of detail, but it's kind of understated. If you look at it, you have a lot of horizontal and vertical lines, but it's also very rounded off, and there's a lot of soft edges as well. I don't think it's busy. I don't know if, it's all very subjective, right? I don't know if this is a beautiful car or not. I like the way it looks, and of course that's what matters to me, but either way, I think it looks decent. I don't think there's anything about it that's terribly hideous, especially with, in my opinion, some of the newer cars that are out, and well, there's always been ugly cars out there. Anyway, back here you have your reverse lamp, and then you have your fog lamp above, and then your amber turn signal there. I always like amber turn signal lamps. I think that's nice. I don't really care for the red ones unless it's an American car, in which case that is proper for that. So I think that's the right way to do it. There was a exhaust finisher tip here, which is gone. I did replace all the exhaust at one point just to have it done, and I haven't put the tip back on. I need to weld that on at some point. Again, this badge is starting to go. We'll get a new one on there. Just simple Saab, and then I like how the 3 is smaller than the 9. That's kind of cool. You do have a space here for the key, which you can open the trunk with. And then here's the key, by the way. So you have just a simple key, side cut, and then this is the fob. You have your trunk opener here, and that's unlock, and then that's lock. So we'll start here with the trunk. Just press this one. Here, and I'll do that again. We'll just, the lights flash, and I like the chirp. Nothing else makes a chirp like that, not that I've seen anyways. So starting here with the trunk, it is lined on the top. You have a little marker here and nice little sturdy grab that's actually pretty sturdy. It kind of reminds me of an older Saab 900. You have a light in here, which you can turn off if you want. If the top was up, this would open up. I believe you have 20 cubic feet of cargo space, 16 with it down. For me, it's always down. I've got some stuff in here to kind of protect the trunk. But below this, there's a spare tire and a tool kit. This trunk pan's in nice shape, I guess. I don't know. This is part of the mechanism for the convertible top, which we'll get into. It's just simple struts with this. The interesting thing is this trunk opens really far back, which is very interesting. If you look at the edge of the deck lid, it's over the middle of the trunk. It's really nice to be able to load stuff into. You have a really low load floor. And also the thing is, I feel like even if you had struts that were weak, the trunk would probably still kind of hold itself up, so to speak. Just kind of neat. Simple access for the lamps. So these cars, again, so they're supposed to be safe, they're supposed to be practical, they're supposed to make a good impression, they're also supposed to be reliable, safe. I mean, they try to tick a lot of boxes with these cars, and I think, I think they did a decent job. This is a very usable trunk for what's considered a compact car. There's nothing wrong with that. We'll get into more of the usability of it later. Moving on forward, we have the tonneau cover here, where the soft top, conceals the soft top and would latch into that. These flaps are in good shape. Sometimes you see those falling off. In the rear seat here, I guess we'll just start here. Kind of simple back here. You have a light right up here, which will come on when you open the door. And then this car has just 4 speakers. There was 6 available, but just 4 in this car. And then you have the cloth insert around it, which would have been leather on the SE. Notice a burn mark right below the lamp. That was when the lamp came apart and the bulb burned through the panel. Again, far from perfect, but totally usable. That doesn't stop a car from being usable. If I really cared, I could fix it, but I don't. But that's not the point. Again, the rear seat here, you can put this key in and fold the rear seat down, and there is a decent little pass-through, which is kind of cool. Also, if you have to carry something in the rear seat, here, I'll just fold that down. And then this is the access for the convertible top. So you can see, if you put the top up, that area in there, like the roof bag goes up, and then you can fold this seat down and have a lot of room. The other cool thing is if you fold this seat down, you can also put stuff in the back seat on this material that isn't going to be screwed up, as opposed to like leather. All right, we'll get that latched in. Then you have these little catches here for the seat belt. Anyway, nice chunky seat belts, which is kind of interesting, which we'll get into later on. We'll look at the front buckle. Everything here is in pretty decent shape. Nothing super special back here. No center console, no adjustable headrests, no pop-up roll bars. The leather is in nice shape on the back. The seat's a little bit heat, it's worn from the heat. Otherwise, decent. These on the SEs or in some configurations, you could have heated rear seats, and you also do have the climate control vent. Just the one there, and then there's ones on the floor as well. So they did kind of try to make it decent. I'm 5'10", and I have the seat to where I need it, and there's acceptable legroom back here. Again, compact car, right? So not super bad for that. All right, we'll look at the passenger side next. So again, getting in, these door handles, you can open them from above or below, but they don't pull out, they pull up, which is kind of cool. And this car doesn't really have central locking. The 9.3s really didn't, the 3 doors, or at least the convertibles, I should say. So you can lock and unlock here, but really there's nothing in the center console. You just have to do it by the fob or else with the key, but there's no key on the passenger side. Oh yes, there is. That's the 9.5 that there isn't. So you can only really use the key, the lock, or the fob. Anyway. All right, so headrests, again, very comfortable. Let's get into that on the driver's side. These go up and down. They don't really adjust forward and backward. They do come forward in a crash to protect you from getting whiplash. As far as getting into the rear seat, pretty simple. You just press this forward, and then you can also do this here with the seat, the manual seat on the passenger side, and then here's your recline feature. These do have airbags all around, so pretty safe too. Now the thing is, okay, so there's many other more luxurious cars out there, but here's the thing. That's pretty simple to get into the back. This isn't very complex. There's no motors being used every single time that will wear out. Once you're in the rear seat, go ahead and sit down. We'll put the seat down. So again, 5'10", the seat's forward a little bit, but you can see that one's back where it was. Decent leg room. You know, you can still see out, you can still see around. This is kind of up to my shoulder right here, but you do have a nice armrest. You can fold this back for a cup holder. So, and that kind of, you know, goes right between the seats there. So it's decent. You wouldn't want to be back here for a long time, but you could say that about the rear seat of just about any car. The passenger side also has a latch on the inner side of the seat so that you can open it from the driver's side. All right, so I'll go ahead and get out and we'll move this on back. So again, some of the things with these cars haven't aged super well and you just have to live with it. One of the things on this one is the seats. Again, it's a little bit ruined from the UV, and this seam's starting to go. The bolster on the bottom of the driver's side is starting to go. So I just went on eBay, and you can get these nice little cushions here that cover. And the nice thing is they don't really get as hot as the proper leather seat, and you can still use the heated seat function, and they work pretty well. And you know, it dresses it up, makes it look a little nicer. You've got a vent over here, a nice airbag in front of you. There's the speakers on the dash. These speakers would have been put in, like the grill is always there, but the speaker would be installed if you had the 6-speaker system. You have this little pocket right down here, and this would accept a Saab cup holder. I've changed a couple things with these cars, so you'll see some things throughout that don't quite match. We do have just like a fabric insert here. Again, this would have been leather, and these are a little bit worn with the sun. The base models would have come with a plastic door handle. These come with chrome, and you'll notice this blank here and this one here. If this was a right-hand drive car, there would have been a switch for the mirrors there and also the trunk release there. The glove box is lockable, and there's some stuff in there anyway. And also this, the rear seat is lockable. So if you lock the car, whatever's in the trunk or whatever's in the glove box is in fact secure. Okay, and these cars really do have a really wide door, so you can really, there's a lot of room to get in and out. Not the easiest to open in a parking lot, but still, they did give you one really big door there. All right, we'll go around to the driver's side. Before we get inside, we'll just take a look under the hood. So this car has the B204L, if I'm not mistaken. The B204L, which is a turbocharged 4-cylinder engine making about 185 horsepower in this configuration and 189 pound-feet of torque. It would have been about 200 horsepower in the SEs. Now, until 2001, I believe, or it could have been 2000, but I think it was 2001, these had what was called Trionic 5 engine management, which gives you a couple different things. And then they switched to Trionic 7, which basically controlled the turbocharger and the engine in a different way. So you'll notice first off the red direct ignition cassette, and there's no mass airflow sensor. There's a manifold air pressure sensor to control it. So, you know, if you're old-fashioned, there's less electronic junk to break, which is kind of, you know, something I appreciate. So, direct ignition. So this would with this system, basically there's no distributor. The coils are right on the plugs, but they're all built into one cassette. So you remove those 4 torque screws and out it comes. This would also fire sparks or send voltage basically to the spark plug to emit a shower of sparks to basically burn any crap or any ice or moisture off the spark plug, so it would start proper every time. And in fact, when it is really cold out, if all the other cars kind of take a long time to crank, this one fires right up and goes. So very cool. They definitely know their customers with that. But look at how serviceable everything is here. I mean, the radiator's right down here. That's not the easiest to change, but you've got your upstream O2 sensor, your battery, power steering fluid, coolant. There's your ABS module. There's your fuses, clutch and brake fluid, motor oil fill and check. There's your air filter right here. Everything's really simple to get to. Your drive belts over here. Right down below we have the Garrett turbocharger. Nice kind of like liner here for the trunk, and then you've got a little foil there. I've replaced the struts on this. This car's taken a little bit of work. And then the bulkhead. So unlike Mercedes where you kind of have that second bulkhead, you don't have that here. It's just one, but they've covered it with this really thick foam, so that's kind of interesting. You don't see stuff quite like that. That's very interesting. Also notice that the The steering rack is right up here on the firewall, very easy to access, and then you can see right there, that's the tie rod. Those are the tie rods right there. So again, they're right up top, very easy to get to. Everything's pretty accessible on this car. It's really not the worst to work on, in my opinion. Not the easiest, but definitely not the worst. All right, so we'll go ahead and close that. And this also, so mated to that 2-liter turbo 4 is a 5-speed manual, which is great. You know, I'm not one of those people that says that you have to have a manual, but I think it is proper with a Saab to have a manual. Basically, here's your trunk release. Same thing as the other side. More fuses here. Look at the detail. They give you this nice little printout of everything, and I like how it tells you what it is, and it's kind of in the layout that it is. It matches. Very cool. Probably didn't take a lot of time to do that. Also, that's not some cheap paper. That's like laminated vinyl. It's decent. On this side, you have a few more options. Same here for getting inside, or to the back, I should say. You have manual lumbar, but then you have power recline, and you know, fore and aft, and tilt on the seat. Again, this bolster, it's taken a bit of wear, but look, this car has 150-some thousand miles on it, and if that's the worst, I can live with it. Here's the seat. You can see it's ripped out there, and it started to get this, and just kind of is pulling a little bit tight. So this could all be redone if I cared, but the seat covers are more than adequate for the kind of car that we're dealing with here. All right, let me shut the camera off a second, and we'll get situated and kind of look at the inside. All right, so we'll start up here at the header. Very simple. Visors, both of these were broken. I had to put new ones on mine. Very dim lights in there, but they do in fact work. We'll put those up. By the way, notice that the header starts, or ends by, I should say, kind of at the end of the seat. It's not one of these ones that kind of, you can't see above you when you're in it. It's not one of those kinds of, you know, headers. It's very short, very far in front of you. And it gives you a little bit of wind noise, but it is a kind of a, you know, you are more exposed to the elements, which I like. Nice lights up here with your glass breakage sensor. Turn those on. Same kind of thing on this side, and then your latches for the convertible top. Here's your mirror adjustment. I think all power mirrors work. In this, you do have, I guess you have to have the key in. Look at you can see the defroster vent right across the front there. There would have been a sensor where that blank is for the climate control, for the sun sensor. There is that red LED there for the alarm. All right, in the center console, we looked at this, but you have cup holders and a little coin sorter there. Here's your handbrake. Kind of cheap plastic, but they do make like a rubber boot kit that goes over that. To cycle the top, you have this switch right here, and then there's one manual handle. This button here runs all 4 windows at once, and then all the buttons here for the individual windows. These are the only window switches in the car, so if you're in the back seat, you have to reach up or have somebody in the front run the windows up for you. But if we go, well, here, we'll do the key next. So the key's in the center console. There's 2 reasons for this. If it was in the steering column or right up here, your knee could hit it in the event of a collision. So if they put it down here out of the way, there's no chance of that. Also, they lock the transmission. So you have to put the 5-speed manual in reverse to get the key out. So the steering column is unlocked, but the car will only go in reverse. So it's that's how they did their security on this. So to run the windows, I just press this button and they all come up. And this car doesn't have the kind of windows where when you open the door, the window comes down about a 1/4 inch. These windows are where they are, regardless of the door position. To go down, you can just press the button and release it, and they will go down automatically, all 4. All 4 windows are automatic down, but they're all, you do have to hold on to all of them to get them to go back up again. For the steering wheel here, this is again just a little bit worn across the top. I did have a steering wheel cover on this, but it started to disintegrate, so I took that off and just let it go for now. This button will get you through all your presets, and then seek and scan. That'll skip between tracks if you're listening to a CD. Source will get you between AM, FM, weather band, and CD, and then of course volume there. This stock does cruise control, so you can turn it on or off here. And then resume and then cancel here on the end, or vice versa. The cruise control doesn't work in this car, and yeah, it's a manual. I don't really need it, so I've never really messed with it. And my 9.5 has cruise control, but because this one's broken and I primarily drive this one, whenever I drive that, I don't use it, and then I don't remember exactly how it works. Regardless of that, that is the cruise control stock. You have headlamp or your high beams here. You can pull forward to flash and then pull forward and it'll lock on basically. On this side you have your wiper controls. So the cool thing about this is if you go up, that's your intermittent setting. And then they give you this little slider here, and you can pretty much dial in exactly what you want. So they aren't like automatic rain sensing wipers, but you can really dial in what you need there. Otherwise, you have low and high for constant, like steady wiping. Over here, you have your headlamp control switch. This is kind of the same thing they've been using for a long time. This is automatic or off, basically just your daytime running lights. There's your daytime running lights there, and then you have your lamps on. You have to have those on to be able to turn on your fog lamps and the rear fogs there. This switch is broken. It kind of rotates within the bezel. That's another thing. This is again a base car, so this would have come with just a gray plastic bezel, but when you own a Saab, you acquire parts, you have spares. One of the things I got was this really nice wooden dashboard. This was out of a newer 9.3, but it was a hatchback, so it's in really good shape. There's no delamination anywhere. This is real wood, and it looks great. It's one of the nicest parts of the car, really. This steering wheel, there's a little manual adjustment on the bottom. It telescopes but does not tilt. It's kind of close to you. It could be a little further away, and it's kind of high up, but it is what it is. You have two blanks here. These would have been for headlamp leveling, not a US option. This one here would adjust the lamps in the climate, well, not the climate control. Well, I guess it would do the climate control, but mainly the gauge cluster. So we have that. I love these Saab vent adjusters here, which control precisely where the air comes out. And then you have these sliders here to shut everything off. Very nice. Okay, we'll go ahead and turn power on here. All right, going back down to the center console, you have a bin here, another bin here, which would have also been an ashtray if you wanted. And then just a blank here. I love these little Saab blanks for the cigarette lighter, which for me is just, just a power outlet. Heated seats, that was standard. These two right here, this would have been for traction control if you had an automatic, and this would have been for the ambient air temperature sensor if you had automatic climate control. This blank is filled currently with this OnStar switch. It doesn't do anything. This is analog OnStar, and none of it works. So I found this at a junkyard and just put it in because I don't like blanks. I think we can all relate to that. Up here you have manual climate control, so just a simple dial. You have your fan here, recirc. There is a glass window in this, so this does heated rear glass, and then AC, which I don't use. Right up here you have your hazard switch. All right, so that's all of that, and then the last thing right here in the center is going to be your radio and infotainment, if you would want to call it that. Here's your adjuster for the clock, and then you can go through different settings here. So if we go back, I have to go back to this, so let me, all right, so you have your temp, your outdoor temp, which is kind of cool of a car this age to have, and then the date, distance still empty, average fuel economy. On this, I don't really drive it for economy, but it's rated, I think, 18 city and about 24 highway, but if you're easy on it, I think you can go well over 30 on the highway, at least by this, which is called the Saab Information Display, so SID. This would be your average speed. We'll take that back to temp. On the other side, you can set like a trip meter, but in reverse, so you can kind of have it count down. This would be basically like a timer till your arrival time. Never used it. You can set an alarm, and then this is your speed warning. So if you set this to 70 miles an hour, it would give you a chime when you get over 70 and continue. It's kind of interesting. The coolest thing on this entire panel is probably the night panel right here, which if you press that defeats all your gauges and kills all the lights except for the warning light. So right now it's on just in accessories, but well, it's on the on position, but the engine isn't running, so that's why all that is lit up. If you had a check engine light come on while you were driving, it would illuminate even if you had all the gauges blank. That's a little bit more dramatic when the car is started, so maybe we'll just go ahead and do that. And we'll put it in neutral here. Watch all the lights go out. All right, so if we press the night panel, so they'll all drop, and then the speedometer would be lit up to about 80, and then if you get above 80, it would light up the rest of the way. And if you had an issue where you were started overheating, or if you were running out of fuel, those lights would come on. I think it was James May that said on Top Gear that the scary thing about night panel was you'd always just worry that everything was broken, and that's true. I would, when I had gotten this car, if I pressed that by mistake, it would kind of scare you that everything was broken. So one of the weirdest things in the middle of this infotainment system is this, which is a cup holder, which comes out right in the middle of the radio. You could put a styrofoam cup in that and pretty much nothing else. A single disc CD changer right here, or not really a changer, just a CD player. The older 900s came with a cassette deck, but I think they were all CD by this point. AM, FM, weather band, pretty basic stuff. My favorite part of this is when you turn the button on for the radio, you have the power antenna that comes up. We'll just take a look at that. That's one of my favorite parts. That's such an old-timey thing. Definitely a very 90s car thing. You don't see that anymore. This wasn't the last car to have it, but it was kind of on the tail end in my opinion. So, also in this gauge cluster, when the door is open, it'll tell you kind of which door or the trunk. It's kind of neat. It kind of tells you exactly what it is. With the car off, if you press this lever just like that, with the key off and the door open, it'll go into what's called follow me home mode, where it'll leave the headlamps on for about 30 seconds so you have light getting inside or whatever you're doing at night. Manual dimming mirror here, you do have to switch that. All right, now in the seat, in this driving position here, everything is really nice at hand. The steering wheel's kind of right in your lap, so I don't know, it's just a little bit strange. It's very different. It's hard to describe. You have a nice armrest over here to the side, nice grab handle. The shifter falls right to hand. Everything's within reach. You know, the radio, you can see it's right in your line of sight. They wanted everything up so you could see it all. Very easy to reach. You don't really have to look down for anything that's, you know, important. The seat is incredibly comfortable. It's very supportive. For me, the bolsters are just about right. If you were bigger, it would still be comfortable. My favorite part is the headrests. If you've ever been in a car where you feel like the headrest is pushing you forward, or you have to put your head the whole way back, this is the solution to that. You can adjust this headrest to exactly the right spot in your neck. And on top of that, it's extremely soft and cushioned. This is a very comfortable car to drive for a long distance. So that's kind of the interior on this, kind of simple. Yeah, that's about it. But let me get a couple things ready and we'll take it out for a drive. All right. One last thing before we take it out for a drive, I wanted to demonstrate the convertible top. So here's what you would want to do. And by the way, I have a feeling, I haven't been driving this car so much lately, and I have a feeling that if I cycle this, it's going to probably trip up right when I try to film it. But we'll see what happens. The convertible top's one of the things that I had to rebuild on this. So watch me look like an idiot for admitting that. But all the hydraulic lines were in tough shape. Some of the cylinders were leaking. So all that had to be redone. I got a set of all new hydraulic system parts for this convertible top online and redid it all myself in the garage over a couple days in the winter. And it was pretty nice. Okay, so as you can see, the tonneau cover comes up, the top lifts out of that, and it's pretty much automatic except for this last part. You have to close that, but that's dead simple. And frankly, so again, this car isn't quite as, you know, refined, so to speak, as like a Mercedes or something like that, but I'll take a latch like that over a header lock with a cylinder that has to have hydraulic lines run the entire way through the top. I really have no issue with that. With the top up, it kind of changes the look of the car. I think it looks a lot more Swedish and like old-fashioned and, you know, not as luxurious or, you know, elegant as some other convertibles. You can't really see it without the sun on it, but there's some serious dipping in this roof. It kind of looks like an old dog or an old horse with a, you know, the saggy backbone or whatever. But, you know, it is what it is. I kind of like it, but it's not beautiful, I guess. Again, look at the nice black top of the car. I think that looks cool. That's their aviation thing there. So again, with the top, this is original. This car is a 99. I'm filming this in late 2021. So this car is 22 years old, and this is the original top. So you can see it's a little bit shrunk. This should be down a little bit more. We're now starting to see some of the pieces underneath. You can see some of the crease marks in it. In the rain, it gets kind of warped. You can definitely see the wear marks. Believe it or not, this is actually waterproof. I treat it once a year, and I really don't have any leaks. It's really not bad. Occasionally, this seal is messed up, so occasionally a little bit of water will get in, but then it dries right up. It doesn't leak in such a volume that it matters. It's just kind of puddles there. but otherwise I'm perfectly fine with it. One of these days we'll get a new top on it. They're not terribly expensive, and I can put one on myself, I believe. So I like this pillarless look, but we can run the windows up here and you'll see. We'll take a look here. So again, everything's nice and sealed in. So these cars, so one of the things that was cool about these was, you know, they were meant to be used in the summer as a nice driver and be enjoyed, but they were also meant to be able to be used in the cold of winter too. And I think that's one of the neat things. This top, I don't know if this top's any different than any others, but you know, with this entire car, I've used it driving it through the snow, and then the very next day, if it's warm, because in Central PA the weather's such a mixed bag. You know, one day we could have 2 inches of snow, and the next day it could be 50 degrees and kind of warm. So on that 50-degree day, I can be a nut and you know, put the top down and enjoy it, and it functions fine. Really no issues. I find it impressive that a car like this, which has received good care but not excellent care, and definitely not incredible preservation like being in a garage all the time, this car has done a great job for me. It really is an all-season car, and we'll get into that a little bit more on the road. And we'll go ahead and put the top down again and go for a drive. Everything up, the top's up, the windows are up. It's fairly quiet, not bad. There is a little bit of vibration from the engine, a little bit of noise, but not bad. So to run the top down again, this back and lift up, and you can see it's a little loose there. And we'll go ahead and press this switch. And yeah. You can't really have passengers in the rear seat when you put the roof down, or at least they have to put their, you know, they have to put their heads forward and kind of lean down or something. All right, there goes the top into that well. Down comes the tonneau cover, and the windows will stay up. You can either hold on the roof switch and they'll come down, or just run the windows down. A little squeaky on the driver's side there, but there you have it. Back to open top driving. All right, so this is a manual, so I'm kind of set up for that. It's kind of weird to see myself here, but anyway, we're going to take this for a drive. This car, there's a little bit of wind noise because it's so big. I don't have the wind deflector. This car didn't come with one, so it might be a little noisy. I might have to do this in voiceover, which means I'll figure out how I can do this in voiceover, but we'll give it a try. But anyway, starting off here, you know, one of the things I really like about this car is just how usable it is. So I was kind of getting into that in the last section, but a car like an SL or something that's really nice, you don't want to put miles on it. You want to keep it nice. You don't want it to get dirty. You know, you don't want it to be worn out or anything, or it's just not all that practical. You can't do a lot with it other than just go for a nice kind of drive like this. But the nice thing about this is that you can drive it pretty much any day of the year, and because of the condition that it's in, I don't have to worry about it. Whatever happens, happens. And I really enjoy that kind of carefree motoring. I know I have some nice cars right now, but this is one of my favorites for that reason. Some other nice things about how well this does in the weather and in other conditions than just driving on a nice day like this. This car has really high ground clearance, so going over any debris or big potholes or anything like that. It has good suspension travel. None of that will be an issue. Also, like I said, it does great in the snow. Those mud flaps and little protectors and everything, and the wipers keep the snow off the car really well. The windshield wipers do great. The defrost works well. Everything does great. The top does okay. Also, the whole bottom of the car is kind of coated in like a rubber, so it isn't really going to like rust or do anything like that. It'll kind of rust from the inside out before it does it from underneath. So if you have any stones or cinders or salt that gets up under, it's not really going to affect anything. This car doesn't really have any rust to speak of. I mean, some of the nuts and bolts are a little rusty, but there's no holes or nothing that's rusted out, no surface rust in any huge areas. They did do a pretty good job with that. That's not always the case. You might see some out there with rust, but it's not like a Ford or Chevy product where, you know, after 15 or 20 years, there's a good bit of rust on it. It's more like Mercedes or BMW in that regard. All right, so now I'm going to editorialize. So if you don't want to hear this part, just skip ahead like 4 or 5 minutes or something and it'll be over. But I've had this car for about well, let's see, 6 years. I did my research there, 6 or 7 years, something like that. And when I bought it, I just wanted a car to learn how to drive a manual transmission. I'd always liked Saabs. I'd always liked kind of the 9.3 thing, and the 900s too, the NG 900s. I'd always liked that, but I didn't really know much about them, and that was kind of it. This was the second Saab that I test drove. The first one was a 9.5, and it had a bad transmission. It was no good, but I was kind of sold on it because it's kind of a nice car that was in decent shape and affordable, but you can still get a manual with it, which is kind of rare. So this was the next car that I had drove, and I bought this, I think it was $1,500. It was in really tough shape. It needed a lot of work. It didn't even run all that well. I think that was the purge valve for the evap canister. It wouldn't shut off or wouldn't see, I don't really know, but basically what would happen is it would run rich and then die at intersections. Besides that, all of the transmission mounts were almost completely shot. So here I am trying to drive a manual car with crap engine mounts and an engine that stalls all the time, so it was not easy. However, I learned, it was fine, we got over it. But then, oh my word, what a difference when all that was made, how nice everything was. So the thing was, I bought it in March and thought, well, I'll drive it over the summer, learn how to drive a manual, and then I'll just get rid of it, whatever. But I kind of went wrong from there. I enjoyed it so much, I thought, well, I'll put a little bit in here, a little bit in there, and the next thing I know, I'm redoing the roof, and then that was working, right? So the top needed all new hydraulic lines. I replaced the computer for the hydraulic top system. It all had to be reprogrammed. It had to be waterproofed. It was a lot of work, but at that point I was kind of in, because that was, you know, at that point, why not? I also opted to redo the front suspension. I got new tires on. I replaced a couple panels that were broken and cracked, some of the trim pieces that were missing. Again, I got this wood dashboard, replaced all the speakers, just nice things. So now driving around in this car, it's rough, but everything works. And I'm not too worried about it breaking down on me. Last year I drove it to the Outer Banks, which is like 350 or 400 miles from my house, drove it around down there, drove it home, no issue. It was great. I'm not saying that, oh my word, the Saabs are the best ever, they're never going to break down on you. That's just my personal experience. It was fine, it was great, I had a great time with it, and I'd do it again. So at that point I was kind of hooked on Saabs, and it all kind of went from there, and that's why I have no money. But I really enjoy it. It's been a great car. I want to keep it going. I feel like I'd be foolish enough, like right now, if it needed a clutch or something like that, whereas it should go to the junkyard, I would probably put the money into it to have it done, because this car got me through college. It's never really given me too many issues. It's never really let me down. So far, it's never been on a tow truck. I mean, as a car, it's given me good, reliable transportation, and it's been absolutely just a boatload of fun. What more could you want? And while the SL and the CLK are nice, there's so much worry with it, you know, there's so much worry, but you know, it is nice. I get that. It's an extremely nice car. It's great to drive. You get a lot of looks. The colors of it are cool. I like that one's red, the other's black, and all that. But this car, overall, this is not better than any one single car, but overall, there's so few compromises with this. You know, you get good fuel economy. It's very safe. It's been very reliable. You do have pretty decent quality materials all around you. It's nice to drive. It's really fun with the 5-speed. The power is nice, which we'll kind of see a little later on. It's a pretty decent car, and that's just the thing. There's nothing about it that's so great, but nothing about it is terrible and offensive either, and that's just kind of why I like it. It just kind of goes and continues with that. All right, so here I am going up over this hill. We're in 4th gear, and if you need power, the RPMs don't really rise, but the turbocharger gauge just goes up, and you do have plenty of power. And I'll take it a little slow because I'm filming, but might have to downshift here. But usually, in 4th gear, we can go right up this hill, no problem. Handling is nice. It's a little wallowy, a few creaks here and there, but it's fine. You don't feel worried. I think that's one of the awesome things about a Saab is that you can drive it, and even at high speed, they don't really want to roll or tip or sway. They just kind of, I don't know, they're uncrashable. It's just the weirdest thing. I'll never understand it, but they do that. Another thing, with the top down, even with the top up, you will notice that there is quite a bit of scuttle shake, which is kind of where the windshield kind of is moving in a different way than the back of the car, which I'm sure you could see on the camera mount earlier. And again, that's a crap camera mount, but still, this car does have it. Before I drove any other convertibles and it was just this, I thought, oh no, it's not that bad. But after driving other ones, yeah, it kind of is. But it's not the end of the world. It's just a part of it. So you know, it's not terrible, but you will see that. As far as braking goes, very smooth, linear, very powerful. The braking is excellent. I mean, you'll be brought to a stop very quickly. These rotors are very large, pads all around, no drum rotors, although they work, but very, very nice linear braking. Everything's nice and smooth. Steering is nice and tight. It's such a narrow little car. It's got a little small turn radius. You know, even though, I guess what I should say is, even though it doesn't have a narrow turning radius, it's so narrow that it turns on a dime, and you can fit in so many places that you couldn't fit with another car. Another cool thing about it is if you park in a parking lot in a traditional like parking stall, you're just so far away from other cars. It's the weirdest thing. But we'll bring it to a stop here and go up this other hill. This isn't the most dynamic car to drive. Like I said, braking is good, steering is okay, and handling is a little wallowy. But where you break free from that is acceleration. The way that the turbo comes on and the power that you get out of it is just so different than most other cars. So many other cars, they have like a lower pressure turbo and it comes on right away, but the power isn't there at the higher end. This is a little bit slow to come on, but then once you do get into power, it just keeps on going. And with this car only weighs like 3,300 pounds, so with how light it is and with about that horsepower number that it has, you can really run it through the gears without running out of road or legal speed, which is really nice. I really like a car that you can use all of it. All right, so I'm going to do a little bit of an acceleration test here. All right, that's 60. Alright, so I'll slow it on down there. 0 to 60 in this car is about, there was a red CLK almost identical to mine. 0 to 60 in this car is about 6.5, 7 seconds. Again, nothing crazy. First gear is kind of short, second gear is a little bit longer, but if you put it in third gear, I mean, third gear will basically take you from 15 miles an hour up to 75. That's the gear to be in. You want to get it up to third and just keep it on going, and keep going you will. Very nice and smooth. Again, not the most linear, but wow, does it really pull when it gets going. It's really nice. Also, right now I'm driving along here in fourth, downshift a little bit, give it some acceleration. About half a second and immediately you're in the turbo boost. Back up to 60. So there you have it. I don't want to really go too much faster. I'm sure the wind noise is terrible, and I don't really want to speed out here anyway, not in this old car. But it does feel nice. It is fun. It is engaging to drive in that way. So that's part of what makes this so great for me. It's just that I can use all of it all the time. You know, I can throw like bags of mulch in the trunk and then go take that home and spread mulch and drive this car with the top down. I don't have to drive like the work van or a pickup truck. I can use it for that. I can use it for groceries. There's enough room in it. I can put stuff in it and go to the beach. It's just very nice for that. You can just get so much usability out of it. And the thing is, it's 21 years old. This isn't exactly a new, incredible car. The fact that it's lasted this long and is in decent shape is just so impressive. I'll never not be impressed by that. All right, the last editorial comment I'm going to make is this. Sitting in this car on a nice day like this with the top down, you know, surrounded by nice materials, not the best, but nice materials, driving a car that's fun, makes fun sounds, you know, does cool stuff. It really does make you question why you would spend so much more on a different European brand or different car altogether. I mean, I know the reasons are there, don't get me wrong, but it makes you ask that question. And I think that's one of the things that's really special about this old, simple car. So we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed. Hope it didn't go too long. I really do hope it didn't go too long. But anyway, thanks for taking a look at my 1999 9.3. If you enjoyed this video, take a look at some of the other videos you just might enjoy. Again, thanks very much for watching. We'll catch you with the next one. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today this is kind of a special one that I have. This is a 1993, let me start that again. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. This is a special one for me today. This is a 1993,